The following is a presentation of 912 Sports. Welcome to On Air with 912 Sports, your number one source for high school sports. With Sean Smoke, Kevin Price, and Robbie Ross. On Air with 912 Sports is brought to you by Coastal Pines Technical College. Go Coastal. Prime South Bank. Find your prime. Robbie Robertson Ford, because Fords are cheaper in the swamp. Gibson Animal Clinic, practical solutions with limited fees. Summit Sports Medicine and Orthopedic Surgery, the region's best orthopedic care. And Kim Smoke, licensed realtor with eXp Realty.
High schoolers, did you know that you can get a head start on your college career and save money at the same time through dual enrollment at Coastal Pines Technical College? Dual enrollment is open to high school juniors and seniors, tuition free. Talk to your high school counselor or visit coastalpines.edu for more information. Coastal Pines Technical College, an equal opportunity institution. Go Coastal.
It makes sense Prime South Bank would have a great mobile app. Nobody is as mobile as our customers. For a century, they've chased dreams, followed their hearts, took the road less taken, made a new path, taken leaps of faith. At Prime South, offering the latest digital banking, secure pay apps, and new online lending is part of a mobile tradition that goes way back. Life is mobile. So is Prime South. Find your Prime. Member FDIC.
Play it loud and rev it up. Robbie Robinson's got trucks built for tough.
Make your way to Robbie Robertson Ford in Waycross, where the deals are bigger than ever. Looking for a stylish midsize car, a spacious SUV, or a truck that performs at work and play? Robbie Robertson wants your vehicle and is paying top dollar. Now is the time to buy. Fords are cheaper in the swamp.
Hey folks, welcome back to another week of the Smoke Report. My name is Evan Smoke, and here are your September 15th scores. As always, Wayne bounces back. The Yellow Jackets go on the road into Statesboro and defeat the Blue Devils 31-13. Moorhaven from Florida makes the trip up to Baxley, but the Pirates send them home with their tails between their legs as the Pirates defeat the Terriers 40-6. Bacon held their own Friday night, but the Clinch County Panthers edged out the Red Raiders 28-26 on the road in Alma. Brunswick defends the Sharks of Islands 63-0. Camden defeats Somerset Academy out of Florida 51-7 in favor of the Camden County Wildcats. Pierce continues to score 40 points every week as the Bears defeat the Charlton County Indians 48-6 in their homecoming game. Salem makes the trip down to Douglas, but not successful as the Trojans steamroll them 58-0. The hottest team in the state made an appearance in the Golden Owls last Friday night, but they took care of business as John Millage Academy defeats Frederica 17-7. Liberty struggles once more on the road as they fall to Calvary Day of Savannah 57-7. The Blue Tide exploded offensively last Friday night as the Long County Blue Tide defeated Groves 76-26 in Ludowici. Lanier County sinks the Buccaneers as the Bulldogs win 10-0 over McIntosh County Academy at home in Lakeland. A thrill in the Hill happened last Friday night, but it ended with the Richmond Hill Wildcats edging out the New Hampstead Phoenix 28-26. But a lot of teams on bye this past week. That's all for me, folks. Have a great week. See you next.
At Summit Sports Medicine and Orthopedic Surgery, you don't have to be an athlete to get the region's best orthopedic care. Our board-certified orthopedic surgeons and physicians treat injuries and conditions that affect just about any joint or bone in your body. Plus, we're backed by the support of Southeast Georgia Health System. From fracture repair to joint replacement, Summit Sports Medicine and Orthopedic Surgery will get you moving again. Call 1-855-ASK-SGHS. That's 1-855-275-7447 or visit sghs.org/summit.
Gibson Animal Clinic is ready to help with your animals. From cats to dogs to horses, we treat them all. Call on us for grooming, bathing, boarding, and more serious things like surgery, dentistry, spay, neuter, immunizations, heartworm prevention, flea control, complete lab testing, radiology, preventive health care. Call us at 285-7678. Open Saturdays for your convenience. Gibson Animal Clinic. Practical solutions with reasonable fees. Russell J. Gibson, DVM.
Gibson Animal Clinic, 108 Riverside Drive, Waycross.
Hablamos español en nuestra clínica.
Hello, everybody, and thanks for watching On Air with 912 Sports. I'm Sean Smoke, publisher of 912 Sports, joined as always by head writer and podcast host Kevin Price. Kevin, good to see you in person today.
I know, Sean. Good to be here with you, talking high school football in person, like you say. Still some non-region games out there, but we're starting to get into region schedules for some of our 912 area teams. So we're into the meat of high school football season now as we get into late September. So we're ready to rock and roll.
Exactly, and as you may tell by our backdrop, we're at the lovely Glenn County Stadium because we're going to dive right in and go right into the game of the week, Kevin, and it is Brunswick at Glenn, the 2023 edition of the City Championship. And this is a game, Kevin, if you look at it on paper, you know, maybe the Brunswick Pirates are a heavy favorite. They've got dudes all over the football field on both offensive and defensive side of the ball. But oh, by the way, there's a little guy on the other side over here by the name of Rocky Hidalgo that he's kind of like that little engine that could. They've got a football team that he believes in. He knows they didn't play their best a couple weeks ago against the Camden County Wildcats, but he still thinks this team can get the job done on Friday night. So it's going to be a really, really interesting contest when they get between the bricks out here to our right on Friday night.
Yeah, you know, and at one time, Glen Academy was the big dog.
They were.
In this series.
Ripped off, 5 or 6 in a row?
Not too long ago, they had won 6 in a row, and Coach Rock kind of reversed the trend in this series, but Brunswick has gained the upper hand since and won the last 3. But yeah, it's been City Championship week all week over here, Sean, but when everybody wakes up tomorrow morning, everything will go up another notch. Because it will be game day, and you know, the excitement will go up, you know, another level. But you know, I think the thing, Sean, that I always point out going into this game, you know, all day the excitement level is just going to grow and grow, and the excitement's going to do the same thing for the players. But once they get onto the field, I think the quicker that they settle in and lock in and get focused and get down to business, the better off they're going to be. Yeah, the other guys wearing a jersey color that they don't like, at least for this 1 week, but it's still a football game.
Exactly.
And, you know, the X's and O's and the execution still has to be there. So, you know, you're going to be intense, you're going to be excited the whole way, but you got to channel that energy in the right way. And I think that the quicker both of these teams can focus in on the job at hand, the better off they'll be. But a couple of things I did want to point out that I think are key really for both teams is the run game. Both teams need to be able to run the football, but also stop the run. I know what Glenn's game plan is going to be, or at least I think it's going to be. It's going to be to take that football, come right off the football, hard, fast, and physical, right at the Pirates, and just see if they can stop it. I think Glenn feels like that's their best chance of winning this football game, is to win it, you know, basically in a phone booth, if you will. Come hard and fast and physical right at them. And then when Brunswick has the football, their best thing to do is to establish the run, because they're better when they can run and pass. And if Glenn can put them in obvious passing situations, we'll see if that plays into Glenn's hands, because then if they can get a pass rush on the Pirates, they can possibly confuse Brunswick's offensive line and also the quarterback, maybe pressure him into mistakes, bad throws, whatever. But then also, Sean, both of these teams have had some tackling issues. We saw that for the Pirates against a really good St. Augustine offense. We saw that for Glen Academy against Camden County, tackling in space. I think that's going to be a key for both of these teams. Brunswick High especially has playmakers on the perimeter. Glen Academy does, especially if Greg Peacock can go, but they have some other guys that they can get the ball to on the perimeter. So a 5-yard gain, a 10-yard gain could turn into 15, 20 or more if these guys on both defenses don't tackle in space. But then another thing that I think is key, and watch this for both teams, is punt block. Watch it. I know that both teams probably have to obviously have their eye on it. Brunswick High had some bad snaps, some low snaps in that game against St. Augustine. McLean Finneran, their punter, fielded those low snaps like a good shortstop, got the punts off. But I know good and well Glen Academy has studied that, and they've studied every other game film, and they're looking for any edge they can to possibly block a punt, get a short field, maybe even score off of it. But at the same time, Coach Hidalgo's admitted himself that Glen's had timing issues getting off punts. I know Brunswick's seen it. They're looking for an edge. They look for Brunswick to maybe try to block a punt. And if it's close at any point in the ball game, particularly in the fourth quarter, a big play on special teams like that could turn the tide in either direction. So keep an eye on that. But at the end of the day, it's Brunswick against Glen. We'll see what happens. Brunswick probably is going to be in the favorites role, but if things fall Glen Academy's way, they could win it. So weather could be a factor too. We'll see. And if it is windy and rainy, that's a big edge factor. So we'll just see how both teams were to handle that if there's some bad weather out here Friday night.
Hey Kevin, this was a rivalry game. We talk about it all the time. You kind of can toss the records out the window. You can talk the expectations out the window because it's just going to matter what happens between those white lines from 7:30 to whenever that final whistle sounds. So look for a good one here between the bricks. If you don't have a game to go to Friday night, I recommend you coming right over here to Glen County Stadium because it's going to be a barn burner. But check it out. But we'll move on, Kevin, from the Brunswick Glen game. Applin's going to be open this week. They're getting ready for the big game coming up with Pierce here in 2 weeks. Bacon County is going to be open after losing that squeaker last week to Clinch County, a really close game. MCA kind of licking their wounds, Kevin. I thought MCA would be able to go on the road last week and beat Lanier. Didn't happen, so now they got to try to get one back into W column, but they get to go to Bradwell, a big 6A or a big 5A school, but nonetheless a tough task for McIntosh to go on the road and win that one. And the next game we're going to talk about is the Pierce-Brantley game, Kevin. This was a game we were hoping that both these teams were going to go into undefeated. Brantley kind of stubbed their toe a couple weeks ago when they lost to Johnson and Savannah. Have some quarterback issues right now where their senior Cannon quarterback has not been able to play due to a couple of injuries, and then the freshman Cannon kids have been playing very, very well, but they haven't had the same offensive output with him, being the signal caller because I don't think he's got quite the same run game that the senior does. But again, going to be a good one there. This game's going to be in Caney Bay. Pierce, I tell you, man, their defense is it seems to get better and better every week. That front seven that they have are solid. I think last week they gave up a negative 39 rushing yards to Charlton County, and how that happens is beyond me. But again, that front seven is playing well for Pierce. Oh, and by the way, they're scoring 40 points a game. So look for Pierce to go into this game as a big favorite.
Yeah, back to that Brunswick Glen game. It is for the city championship, but it is the region opener.
That's true.
For both of those teams, and this game, a region game as well. But longtime rivals here. I think they played 50 times actually, so Pierce leads this series 27-13. Make no mistake about it, these two teams are from neighboring counties. They don't like each other, they'll tell you that. Pierce has won 12 in a row. A lot of people will tell you it's not a rivalry when somebody dominates it like that. But I think Brantley will be the first to tell you, hey, it's still a rivalry. Exactly. We still don't like those guys. But, this Pierce team has been impressive. I know you've been real impressed with their defense, but their offense seems to be ticking right along as well. And, Brantley does look to be improved this year. We're beating up on folks early till they ran into those quarterback issues. Regardless, though, they may be outmanned in this one. The best thing that they can do, if they can get some offense going at all, is to be able to shorten the football game. Not necessarily 3 yards in the cloud of dust, but sort of that philosophy, yes. But even if they do limit Pierce's chances, they still may be hard to stop. So Brantley's up against the 8 ball here, but again, first game in the region schedule for both of them. Still a long way to go after this one's over.
Yeah, so we'll see how that turns out there in Caney Bay on Friday night. Moving right along, we got another Florida school coming to Chris Gilman Stadium. Atlantic Coast, Florida is going to come play Camden, and then Charlton is going to be open this week after coming off that big loss to Pierce County. And then the next game we're going to talk about, Kevin, a real interesting football game. They got little old St. Simon's Frederick Frederica Academy over here, going on the road, although to play a 1A school, still to play the big time program in Clinch County. So we'll see. Hey, listen, Frederica played really, really well last week. Took John Millage right to the wire, which is the best team in GIA and has been for the last 4 or 5 years. But now they got to go on the road to play a GHSA team in Clinch County. Clinch had that, they won over at Bacon County, but still, I look for that to be a 2-touchdown game, wound up being a 2-point game. So this is going to be a really interesting game over at Homeville on Friday night, and we'll see if the little small private school can go over there and get it done.
Yeah, Frederica maybe surprised some people a little bit by keeping that game as close as they did last week against John Millage. Remember, John Millage is the 4-time state champion there, in that division.
Who hasn't lost since, 2018?
Yeah, since they lost to Frederica in the state championship game, and that's regular season and postseason. And had been scoring, a bunch of points and had been not giving up hardly anything. So it was a low-scoring ball game, 17-7. So they did keep, Frederica's offense in check. Which, by the way, Jordan Triplett did get into triple figures, a little over 100 yards. So he had been averaging right at 300. But the Frederica defense, I think, was maybe the most impressive thing for Frederica in that ball game. But again, it'll be the Jordan Triplett show going up against a good team, a perennial power in the single A ranks in GHSA. So it'll be interesting to see how he does against this Clinch defense. But as you know, Sean, Clinch has their own bell cow.
They do.
Kind of like Frederica does. The Jeremy Bell kid, he's a jack of all trades for you. I don't know if he really throws the ball, although he probably can, but he can certainly run with it and catch it. He was our 912 Sports Player of the Week, which of course is sponsored by Coastal Pines Technical College a couple of weeks ago. He had 379 yards, I think, 2 weeks ago in that big win for the Panthers against Cook and 4 touchdowns. Returned a kick, had a couple of rushing touchdowns and caught a pass for a touchdown. But I looked it up again last night, Sean. Already 1,000 all-purpose yards for Mr. Bell, who's committed to Indiana, and 11 touchdowns. So Frederica, again, is going to have their hands full with a star. We'll see if Clinch has their hands full with Triplett. So kind of Bell versus Triplett, an interesting subplot to this ball game.
Yeah, going to be a really, really good football game over there in Homeville on Friday night. So if you get a chance, check that one out as well. But hey, let's take a quick break. We'll pay some bills here and come right back here with the rest of the games from 922. You're watching On Air with 912 Sports.
High schoolers, did you know that you can get a head start on your college career and save money at the same time through dual enrollment at Coastal Pines Technical College? Dual enrollment is open to high school juniors and seniors, tuition free. Talk to your high school counselor or visit coastalpines.edu for more information. Coastal Pines Technical College, an equal opportunity institution. Go Coastal.
Welcome back, sports fans. I'm Sean Smoke. He's Kevin Price, and we're going to finish previewing the games for 922. This coming up Friday night here in the 912. And Kevin will start off with Coffee at Richmond Hill. Coffee pretty much had a scrimmage game last Friday night, playing Salem, winning that game 56-58-0, whatever the score was. And then Richmond Hill had a really, really close game with New Hampstead, winning that game by a couple of points there. But this is going to be a very interesting football game. It's going to be over there on the hill in Richmond Hill. So Coffee's got to travel. That's a long haul for the Coffee Trojans to go over there and take on Richmond Hill. But Richmond Hill much improved this year, Kevin. I mean, we've seen it. You saw it over here in the Border Classic. Coffee pretty much seems to be they're pretty much their self. I mean, they're going to want to try to pound the ball on you all night or run the ball and see, put you in a phone booth and see if you're man enough to, to stand it. So we'll see what happens. But this could wind up being a very, very interesting game on Friday.
Yeah, and I don't know what it is about New Hampstead and Richmond Hill, but New Hampstead just likes to play Richmond Hill off their feet. They've done it, 2 years in a row, 2 close ball games, and they did it again Friday night. But Sean, I saw both of these teams, Coffee and Richmond Hill, just a few weeks back right here on this field at Glenn County Stadium in that Border Classic, and I came away impressed with both of these ball clubs. The Fred Brown kid, the running back for Coffee, is a load,
yes, sir.
and maybe a load and a half. I mean, this guy, gets behind his pads and comes at you hard and physical, and he's a kid you get tired of tackling come the second half. He's just not afraid to run over you. In fact, I think he loves to try to do that. And he is just a workhorse back for them. They'll run him and run him and run him some more. And like I said, he gets tired before you do. But this Richmond Hill team, I was real impressed with them in their game that Saturday against Creekside. They won it, I think, 49-34, and looked like they had some good firepower on offense. A couple of ways to beat you, running and throwing the football. They can get that Wildcat formation, which is fitting for their nickname, and they got a couple of guys, including the Bliss kid, that can run out of that Wildcat formation. So again, they got a couple of weapons for them on offense, and they're pretty sound on defense, and they're physical too, I thought. And actually, I was telling Coach Herron from Camden on the podcast, that I did with him this week. That region, I think, is off, Region 1 7A next week as they get ready to go into region play. Camden and Richmond Hill will match up with each other, so they'll both be off next week. And I told him, no offense to Camden necessarily, they're probably due for an off week too, playing so many games in a row, and particularly after a tough preseason camp. But I said, I can guarantee you that Richmond Hill is going to need a week off, because they're going to be in a physical dogfight against this Coffee team. And he said, yeah, I hope they are. So anyway, this is going to be a real physical game, a rock'em sock'em type of game, a good Southeast Georgia high school football game right here. One certainly worth the price of admission.
Yeah, definitely one going to be played in the trenches, as they say, for sure.
At Summit Sports Medicine and Orthopedic Surgery, you don't have to be an athlete to get the region's best orthopedic care. Our board-certified orthopedic surgeons and physicians treat injuries and conditions that affect just about any joint or bone in your body. Plus, we're backed by the support of Southeast Georgia Health System. From fracture repair to joint replacement, Summit Sports Medicine and Orthopedic Surgery will get you moving again. Call 1-855-ASK-SGHS. That's 1-855-275-7447 or visit sghs.org/summit.
It makes sense Prime South Bank would have a great mobile app. Nobody is as mobile as our customers. For a century, they've chased dreams, followed their hearts, took the road less taken, made a new path, taken leaps of faith. At Prime South, offering the latest digital banking, secure pay apps, and new online lending is part of a mobile tradition that goes way back. Life is mobile. So is Prime South. Find your Prime. Member FDIC.
Next up, Kevin, we got Effingham at South Effingham. This probably would be our game of the week, Kevin, if we didn't have the Brunswick Glen game this week. These kids all grew up together playing rec league ball with one another, but now they're in different high schools. Going to be a good contest. South Effingham comes in this game undefeated, Kevin. Effingham has already took a couple of losses on the season, so it'll be real interesting to see what happens between the Rebels and the Mustangs this Friday night.
Yeah, another rivalry game in Region 2 6A, region opener for both of these teams, just like Brunswick and Glen, Effingham and South Effingham. Like you said, an undefeated team in this one, that's South Effingham. A 1-3 football team, that's Effingham. If you would have told me before the season who would be undefeated, I would have thought maybe Effingham, not South Effingham, but the roles are reversed. And I'll tell you what, though, Effingham's won the last 3 here, Sean, in this series, but South Effingham's the one that kind of comes in with the momentum. Confidence is a great thing, and they've certainly got it. And South Effingham maybe has a little bit of self-doubt, not necessarily in this series, but just kind of floundering around right now and still finding themselves. And they started slow last year, in their first couple of ball games, but hit their stride and really, cruise through the rest of the season. But they're still trying to find that stride, and I keep waiting on them to find it. And if they're going to find it, this would be a good time to do it with region play starting against a rivalry school. And Sean, I wish I could sit here and tell you that they are going to do it, but I can't sit here and promise you that's going to happen. So this is an intriguing ball game from that standpoint, and could go a long way in deciding these two teams' playoff fate here in this region opener. So we'll see what happens. Effingham's struggling, but it's a good time to get well, and if they're going to hit their stride, this is a good time to do it.
This game will be held at Guyton, so the Mustangs do get the home field advantage in this one, but I'll be interested to see Friday night when the scores come out how this one turns out. But moving right along, we got Jeff Davis got to go on the road to take on Cook. That's not going to be an easy task for the Yellow Jackets. Then we got Johnson and Savannah, who's won the last 2 weeks here after losing I think the first 2 games, as Johnson Savannah goes to Liberty to play the Panthers. And then we've got Long County going to travel over to play Savannah Country Day. Congratulations to Mike Feaster in Long County. Largest point output ever for a Long County Blue Tide football team. Last week scoring 76 points, so they really turned it on against Groves and had a huge offensive output game. But they've got to go on the road to take on Savannah Country Day. And then we've got New Hampstead open. And then we've got another game. Statesboro are going to go up to Burke County, play Franklin Stevens and the Burke County Bears up there. So we'll see how that one turns out. And then the next game we're going to talk about, Kevin, is Ware at Bainbridge. I'm interested to see how Ware responds after losing to Benedictine 2 weeks ago. Ware was off this last week. It's never good when you lose a game and go into an off week, but now they got to get on a bus, Kevin, travel 3 hours to Bainbridge to take on a very, very talented Bainbridge team. And I'll tell you how much people think of Bainbridge. Bainbridge is 2-2, folks, and they're still ranked number 5 in Class 4A. So that tells you what kind of schedule they played, tells you what people believe in, how good a football team it is. So we're going to have their hands full. I don't know that Bainbridge is quite as good as Benedictine, but again, going to be a very tough test for the Ware County Gators, and we'll see if they can kind of bounce back after that loss, or if they're still going to be kind of, woe is me kind of situation. So it'll be interesting to see how this football team responds on Friday night.
Yeah, and Sean, we've talked about this Bainbridge team before. They're not afraid to play anybody. They played some of our better teams in the 912 area code, including Ware before, and including Coffee. And speaking of both, Ware and Coffee, of course, Ware beat them just 22-16 last year, I think, over in Waycross. And speaking of Coffee, Bainbridge is 2-2 this year, and Coffee is one of the teams that beat them, 23-14. So obviously a respectable loss there. And then the other team that beat them was Thomas County Central. Now beat them pretty good, 45-14. But if you've looked at those state rankings, Thomas County Central, I think, was top 10 in Class 6A at the time, maybe 8, but now they are up to number 3.
Yeah.
So one of the state championship contenders, if you will, in Class 6A. So when you talk about Bainbridge being ranked at 2-2, well, that's why two pretty good losses. And of course, a respectable loss for the Gators just a couple of weeks ago to a really good Benedictine team that could be on their way to repeating as a state champion as well. But I think you're right, Sean. Much like Brunswick High, they lost, for the first time in eons in the regular season, not in eons, but in a couple of years to St. Augustine. Now they had a much simpler bounce back game against Islands last week, but still they had to respond, and they did. So it'll be interesting to see how Ware does respond, particularly going on the road against a really good Bainbridge team. I know they're probably itching to get back out there and rectify some things that maybe went wrong in that Benedictine game. The interesting thing is Bainbridge had an off week too, so both of these teams been sitting around, kind of with 2 weeks to prepare and get some rest and all that kind of good stuff. But should be another great game between these two teams, another good test for both of them. And, obviously, I guess this is the final non-region test for Ware County, and then they'll get into the region schedule.
Ware actually plays Bainbridge and is off a week, and then they start their region competition. So that's weird. We got an off week, play a game off week for the Gators there. But still, it'll be interesting to see, and that'll be one I'll be paying close attention to. Last game for the 2020 or 922 slate is going to be Jenkins at Wayne. Wayne gets a chance to get healthy here against Jenkins and put another one in the W column. Should be a pretty much an easy win for the Wayne County Yellow Jackets. You get a chance to see this young man in action right here. This is Matthew Flory, stories on the cover of our new 912 Sports. They're out at all the distribution points, so pick it up if you can. But Matthew's had a heck of a season. He only started out with 270 yards first game of the season.
Yeah, state player of the week.
State player of the week. So Matthew's having a great year. So I'll be interested to see how well he does against Jingies. But hey, appreciate everybody tuning in. Get out and see a high school football game this week. But we'll be right back here next week. Thanks for watching On Air with 912 Sports. Stick around. We got more right after these messages.
Play it loud and rev it up. Robbie Robinson's got trucks built for tough.
Make your way to Robbie Robertson Ford in Waycross, where the deals are bigger than ever. Looking for a stylish midsize car, a spacious SUV, or a truck that performs at work and play? Robbie Robertson wants your vehicle and is paying top dollar. Now is the time to buy. Fords are cheaper in the swamp.
Gibson Animal Clinic is ready to help with your animals. From cats to dogs to horses, we treat them all. Calling us for grooming, bathing, boarding, and more serious things like surgery, dentistry, spay, neuter, immunizations, heartworm prevention, flea control, complete lab testing, radiology, preventive health care. Call us at 285-7678. Open Saturdays for your convenience. Gibson Animal Clinic. Practical solutions with reasonable fees. Russell J. Gibson, DVM.
Gibson Animal Clinic, 108 Riverside Drive, Waycross.
Hablamos español en nuestra clínica.
This has been a presentation of 912 Sports.